What's up, everybody? Kasanova here. I want to give a bit of I guess you could say like a channel update. I want to talk about what you can expect in the future, and also give you a heads up on what I'm considering doing as far as content on this channel. Now, you guys know I've been a content creator for over a decade at this point. I've made a lot of content. I kind of started off all over the place, reactionary content, unboxing, all that stuff. Like it's crazy to look back and look at my earlier content from when I started to where I'm at now, right? So it's wild to see that type of progression. But with this video, I kind of want to give you guys a bit of a channel update because I have not been creating as much content over the last couple weeks to last couple months for a simple reason that I personally have been going through several bouts of depression. Right now, I'm not. I'm completely good now. I took off about 2.5 weeks and got my mind right. Got my, I'm in the gym all the time. I'm a gym rat, but you know, not having to worry about content for a bit and focusing on myself, my health, my wealth, my family, and everything like that has, yes, it wealth, health as well, has been good enough for me to be able to recharge. And I highly recommend to anyone who is a content creator or looking to get into content creating to understand that recharging is absolutely essential if you are in this field and you want to continue to have longevity. Now, touching on where I said like I haven't been updating content a lot lately, and it's really just due to the fact that I have not felt motivated. I haven't felt inspired. And here's the thing about motivation. David Goggins says it, a lot of other people say it too. You can't wait around for motivation because I mean motivation is like an emotion, it's like a feeling. It comes and goes. You gotta have the discipline to keep doing it. And I have discipline. I've been doing this consistently for, over a decade at this point. However, I have to be honest about the shift in the content creation landscape in the sense that it's not the same as it was. Like, honestly, before the pandemic, I felt like it was a lot more fun creating content and it was more of a push to create original content and not be forced to play to algorithmic strengths. Let's just put it that way. When I say algorithmic strengths, I'm talking about the constant need to constantly upload short form content with hooks, constant, jump cuts and videos, and it you go from being a creative artist creating content that people resonate with, be it reviews or impressions or essays or documentaries or such, personal and personal inflections, to being a run-of-the-mill content factory. Like you constantly have to upload content. At this point, here we are. It was the time it's recording. It's May 19th, 2025. If you're not, as a content creator, uploading at least one video a day, and that video doesn't have to be long form, preferably short form. If you're not uploading at least one short form video a day, you are not doing correct as a content creator, at least as far as if you're creating content on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. Any of these platforms that require you to post videos for traction because the algorithms, um, they will look at you as an inactive content creator. Now, there are ways to circumvent that. Like I said, if you make regular content, I highly recommend, utilizing stuff like Opus Clip or any type of clipping software that allows you to create a large batch of short form content you can post, cross post across multiple different platforms, which is what I do. I utilize that. Oh, I couldn't talk for a second. I utilize that for my podcasts or all three of the podcasts I'm on. I utilize that for the reviews that I do and for my reactions as well. And um it really has gotten to a point with content creating, specifically here on YouTube and also on other platforms too, TikTok and Instagram, where it's literally like I said, it's like you have to be a content factory. You have to churn out content, churn it out, churn it out, churn it out, and it's just because uh, people's attention spans right now are so short. You know, the pandemic is it's TikTok plus the pandemic has really shortened people's attention spans. So if you have a video that's roughly 5 minutes long, I mean, even at the length that I've been recording this video is too long for some people. People typically probably have clicked off, you know, 10, 15 seconds in. It's becoming more and more difficult to stay in the field. Um, there's also the fact that there are people who are trying to be the next someone else. You know, people trying to be the next Mr. Beast or I Show Speed or Kasanova. You know, people are trying to, which is this is a weird thing. Um, it's not new. If I look back when I started, everyone who's trying to be the next angry video game nerd who went on to be, you know, different things. You had ACG or Angry Centaur Gaming. I don't know how many of y'all remember him going by that name, but Carrick was ACG. Then you had Angry Joe. Then you had a lot of different angry, you know, video game. But they all have their own unique flavor and personality on it. It it's not new, but like now more than ever, people are trying to be the next someone else, and it's it's very unique to see because it's like you don't get to see or experience the authenticity or uniqueness of the creator. You're just getting a Timu version of someone else, if I'm being completely honest. Or a great value version of somebody else. Um, you we can look at like if you're into like the manosphere or the red pill stuff, how many people have tried to be carbon copies of Kevin Samuels or carbon copies of Alpha Male Strategies, um, you know, as examples, right? People trying to do that. Then you got all the people that are or were. It's starting to die down now because it's not as popular. But when people couldn't hack it, being content creators, either in gaming, tech, or anything else, and then they just grifted over to being political commentators, right? Taking the same talking points. There's a lot of them I know. There's a lot of them I know. Many I've even been on some folks' podcasts before. Even helped some people create podcasts that went on to grift heavily into that and are multimillionaires now, which is kind of interesting. Um, it's been interesting to see this landscape change and just change so dramatically. You know, I've stuck with creating content on gaming, on tech, you know, podcast interviewing. And it's funny because I was podcasting before podcasting was what it is now, before everybody and their mom decided, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. I was doing it back when people were making fun of you for having a podcast. Now everyone wants to do it. Um, it we're, I've gotten to a point, and this is me with the channel updates. So you're going to see less and less and less and less video game reviews coming from me. And it's just because a number of reasons. I'm not 24, 25, 26 anymore. I'm 36 going on 37. I have a family. I have kids and my time to sit and try to play games that are 30, 40, 50, 100 plus hours is just not there anymore. I don't have that time. I at most per day I have a sliver of time from 8:30 a.m. to like 2 1:30 p.m. to really do anything without any interruptions whatsoever. That's the blockade of time I have. And with everything that I do, for a lot of you who may look at this and you're like, wait, you know, how do you live off of doing content on YouTube? Well, I do a lot of things. I have a lot of paid contracts and collaborations and sponsorships and such. So I get paid making videos on YouTube directly from YouTube as well as with brand deals and endorsements that I do. So I get that. I also get paid from for the same thing for all three of my podcasts that I have. So there's that. But I also do personal consultations. Personal consultations for other content creators. I do private consultations for brands and businesses. I do a lot of things. I've been dabbling my feet into voice acting. I've been dabbling my feet into modeling out here in Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm getting into bodybuilding. That's one of the things that I'm looking at doing. Um, I have various avenues in revenue streams coming in. So I'm not hurting for money. But it's just one of the things I'm looking at is like there's just so much more I want to do, and the conversations around video games is just it's not for me personally fun anymore. I see people talk about video games, on X or Twitter or formerly Twitter, Facebook, uh, Threads, Reddit, and it's weird that the conversation around video games is just 99% negative. You know, it's devs are greedy, game is broken, game isn't finished, game is woke, game is this, game is that, game is that. It's like what I've noticed both from gamers, interactions with gamers, observing gamers, also fellow content creators, is that people spend more time talking about video games than actually playing them. We're in a weird voyeuristic time where people would rather, instead of personally experiencing video games, let alone really anything, they would rather be voyeuristic and watch somebody else do it, which is wild. That's wild to me. You know, like I said, I'm 36, going on 37. I grew up in the 90s, and I remember from 91 up, and how back then you only got a new video game maybe once or twice a year, birthday and Christmas. And for the majority of the other time, if your parents were capable and there's a Blockbuster or Hollywood Video near you or a mom and pop shop, you could rent games. But it was very rare to own video games like it is now. People buying all these games, they buy these games. You see all these YouTubers and content creators that have these video game walls that they don't even touch. They haven't touched these games. And it's weird that we've gotten to this point where people care more about collecting the video games than actually experiencing them. Because I mean, honestly, I get wanting to collect games to build a collection. I have a collection of games right over here, but every game I've collected, I've played. Either I played in the 90s, 2000s, early 2000s, 2010s, or I'm playing it now. But my collection is games I've been playing, and it's just it's just not fun talking about video games anymore. It's not fun talking about it. It's not fun. Like I'll give you examples of when it just started to not be fun for me. Sorry, I got a notification, but when it stopped being fun for me to cover video games, um, I would say starting during the COVID era, when it just started to become about political hot takes, and these are people to give you guys an understanding, because people are going to be like, oh, he doesn't want to talk about politics. He must be a MAGA guy or Trump supporter or something like that. I'm not political. I'm not right. I'm not left. I'm not center. I'm just not. I'm exhausted from politics. I've previously I've been both left, both right. You know, but as of the last decade, I'm not political. Even though I've had people on my podcast that have been on both sides of the spectrum, but I'm not political. I like talking to people. So when it got to a point when games are coming out where games were pushing political narratives and game PR were pushing creators to push political narratives in their coverage, and you're seeing people blow up from grifting into political commentary, faking political stuff so they can get more attention. As I know where a lot of bodies are buried. Let's just put it that way. I've been around long enough, and I know a lot of people. I'm a very well connected person. Regardless of you think, oh, you got 52,000, you got a small channel, your view account. That's not a reflection of anything. I know a lot of people, and you know, like I said, industry PR, seeing content creators do it, seeing audiences demand you either push woke, be anti woke, all this other stuff. I'm over here just like, I just want to play a fucking video game. I don't want to be inundated with all the narratives and everything like that. And so from 2020 onward, it was just, and I know it was happening before then. Before then, I was tuning it out, but like when we had to get into isolation, and then people were losing their minds from the isolation, that is when I started seeing it just get out of hand. That's when there was a lot of opportunities I could have had, a lot of money I could have made. Like, was it Facebook Gaming? And they had the Black Content Creator Initiative, right? It's not there anymore, but they were paying ass loads of money to Black creators to push political narratives and side with what one would deem as woke, right? Or victimhood ideology, or wherever you want to go with that. But they were pushing for that. And because I didn't want to take a political stance on my content, I got passed up on it. But there are creators I know that were making good money for 2, 3, 4 years. Like I'm saying, they were making thousands a month to just put their content over there. There were, Black creators, and for those of y'all who don't know, yes, I am also Black. Yes, I'm Polynesian as well, but I'm also Black. And you know, just seeing how opportunities are drying up because I refuse to be political made it not fun. When I would cover a game, and the way I go into covering games is I try to not look at anything, and as it's been for the last year, I unfollowed, unsubscribed from so many gaming content creators because I got tired of the same talking points, the same bullet points, the same thumbnails, the same everything, which is just focused around pleasing the algorithm versus creativity, versus talking about personal experience, versus being afraid of being canceled, versus riding into the trends. I'm just a guy who approaches reviewing games the same way I review tech, which is based off of what I used to grow up reading in the 90s from Game Pro magazine, uh, Game Informer, you know, Electronic Gaming Monthly, Next Generation magazine. Like when they had structures. I have a degree in journalism. I also have a degree in psychology. I have a degree in science as well. But, I went to school for journalism. I was a journalist when I was in college for the school newspaper. I've worked with publications and outlets, professional media outlets out here. And, I just took what I learned in school, and I took what I grew up reading, what I enjoyed. And I've actually gotten to, which is cool, I got to befriend a lot of the people that I grew up reading their reviews and their articles and stuff. And yeah, a lot of it hasn't aged well, but like that's you know, back in the day it was about fun factor. How did it control? So how did it feel? Were the graphics good? Was the gameplay good? And that was the inspiration. And so that's what I took into how I review stuff. And it's kind of wild some of the takes that, you know, I've gotten in the comment section or I've gotten on social media. Like, oh, you like this game, you're woke. Or you're supporting DEI, which for the long I think I've said before, I didn't even know what DEI was. This is how out of the loop, you know. So it just started to get to a point where it was just it's always about being contentious and being angry. It was getting to a point where people were getting way too comfortable saying things on the internet they'd never say to your face. And I'm not someone who goes out looking for smoke, but if you got the balls to say some of the shit that a lot of y'all have been saying to me in the comment section or online, I wish you would come and say this to my 6'3" ass. I wish you would. I really wish you would. Y'all say some horrible things. And it's like it's crazy. And it's like the what is it? The if we look at the Salvatore Ganucci character, like celebrity, a real life celebrity that's in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. It's interesting to me when that dropped and everyone was hyper negative about it. I wasn't the biggest fan, but even in my reaction, I did state that this is from the presentation of it that it didn't look good. But his moveset was kind of cool, but I would have rather had Duck King instead. But I said I understood. I understood why he was in it. And I gave reasons as to why he was in it. And it's funny how the FGC, which is why I'm not part of any collective group. I'll say this, I'll be the first to say this. Fuck the FGC. Fuck gamers. I don't really give two shits about FGC or gamers at this point. But it was interesting to me to see how the FGC went from we can't stand Salvatore, just like we can't stand Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, what is SNK doing? This is a big mistake. This is the worst character ever. Which even one of my shorts is named that. This is the worst character ever in the SNK game. Because that's personally how I felt. And I still, I played the character. He's a joke character. I understood what the mission was from the get-go with him. He's a joke character. And I made that clear. I understood that, but that doesn't mean I'm happy with the character. But it's funny how the FGC flipped from we don't like the guy to once Maximilian, who's a famous FGC YouTuber, once he got a comment or a DM from Salvatore Ganucci that he wants to, he's a fan of him, wants to know his size, wants to send him a tracksuit, wants to collaborate with him. Once and this is common for a lot of content creators. Once money gets involved, tunes change. Money talks, bullshit walks. Once that happened, and he flipped the script of how he felt about the character, which also coincided when he actually got to play the character, which is before any of us. Once he changed his tune, then the Salvatore Ganucci apology tour started happening, and then everybody started copying suit. Everybody. It was like clockwork. And then I had people coming to, at that time, months old reactions, months old videos to correct me, call me stupid. Some even threatening physical harm if I don't change my tune and apologize. Which is why I said, if you motherfuckers want to smoke, bring your asses on and get stomped out. I ain't the fucking one. Fuck around and find out. But it's that. It's that type of unnecessary bullshit from gamers, content creators, and just seeing this industry as a whole, seeing this field and how it's just radically changed. We've got everyone trying to be the next Kaisen at iShow speed, everyone trying to crash out and do the most ridiculous, say the stupidest shit for attention. We're in the attention economy. Everyone wants to get, oh, notice me, notice me, notice me, notice me. I'm gonna do something so wild, so, and especially with the younger generation that's willing to do stupid shit that would jeopardize their life. Many have died doing stupid shit. So it's like common sense went out the window. And so we got all these people that are just out here wilding out, crashing out, doing anything for attention, saying anything that they would never say to your face. And I just got to a point where I'm like, this shit's not fun anymore. If you're too critical of something, you're a hater. If you're neutral or generally positive, but you still highlight the negatives, you're a dick rider. You're in the cock carousel, apparently. And so it's like, it's hard for me to want to continue covering games. Not only because there's just too many that are coming out, they're just too damn long and I don't have the time for it, but it's like I don't care to really talk to other people that are making content on games or even fans of games because it's like I don't personally want to deal with negative nonsense. I'm at a stage in my life where it's like, if you're not bringing peace to my life, I don't want to. Then why are you here? Why do I need to fuck with you? And it's not an avoidance thing. It's just it. There is no point for me to deal with it or with people who are toxic and negative. I'm not one of them fake positivity, you know, oh, good vibes only type of people, but I'm a grown man that protects my peace. You come around me, you come around my family with some negativity or some bullshit. No, you ain't gotta go home. You gotta get the fuck out of here and away from me and away from mine. I'm just not dealing with it. And I don't have to. And so with covering games the way it is now, like circling back to, I know I went on a tangent, but it is what it is. But circling back to the start of it, you know, I just don't find enjoyment in talking about games anymore. So, like I said, it's going to be a dramatic downplay in game coverage. If I cover it, it's primarily because I've gotten access to it, which is at this point I'm super selective. If it's not a AAA company or if it's not a AA game that I'm really looking forward to, I'm not really going out of my way to cover it. I'm just not. I don't see a point. I don't have a desire. And that's also to say because in especially in covering video games for the last decade or so, you get to a point where there's so many games coming in over and over and over and over and over. And I'm just like at a point where I don't have the luxury of time to enjoy it. Some games I'll get a month or 2 months before they release, or a few weeks before it comes out, or a few days before it comes out, the day of or the day after. And at that point, especially with how people go to whoever they, like people, oh, I go to where I get my news source. People have favorites of content creators and styles that they personally prefer. So if you're not able to get content out at a specific time before the general public does, then you've kind of you're just throwing shit and hoping it's gonna stick on a wall. There is a benefit to getting stuff early to get it out there because you can get your name in the conversation. It's very difficult, even if you've got thousands of subscribers, it doesn't matter. I've kind of noticed that YouTube, for a lot of us who have been around for a while, a lot of us get throttled because we don't play into the trends. Whereas people who started from COVID up can achieve what may have taken us who started pre-COVID. It can take us, it probably took us 5, 6, 7, maybe a decade to get to where we are. Whereas people who started with COVID, because, the shorts or trending topics or whatever, and there was just a mass influx of people on the platform, they grew faster. But I'm also seeing a lot of them burn out quicker than those of us who've been out for a while. And for me personally, I'm just not. I've made it to 52,000. To go from 13,000 2.5, 3 years ago to 52,000 now has been a blessing. But it's also shown me that the number is just a number, you know? It hasn't changed my life. Like, my ultimate goal as a content creator on YouTube is I would love to hit 1 million subscribers and get the gold play button. That is like my long term goal. My next stop now is to hit 100,000 so I can get my silver play button. But, you know, it's again, it's just a number. Life doesn't change. Like, I thought, oh God, life's gonna change when I hit 1,000 subscribers. Didn't change. Oh, it's gonna change when I hit 10,000. It didn't change. Oh, it's gonna change when I hit 20. Didn't change. 30. Didn't change. 40. 50. It didn't change. Chasing an invisible specter of a number that you can't hold. It's just a ticker. The majority of people pay for it anyway, which, being in a lot of programs, knowing a lot of content creators, being in a lot of discourse, you learn about that kind of stuff. So, game coverage is going to be a lot less. The last game that I'm actively doing coverage on right now, aside from, when Stellar Blade comes out and a couple other PlayStation and first party title games, it's Clar Expedition 33. And I have worked with Kepler Interactive for years, and I didn't get a review code of that game. Just fine. Nothing's guaranteed. But I I went into that game, as I said on the 2.5 hour podcast I did with Louisino Superfino. I went into that game and I just played it. I just played it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I didn't go on social media about it. I stayed off of social media. I literally went and played the game and just experienced it, which is something I can't say I've gotten to do, and probably since 2017. I say 2017, 2016 was probably the last year. And that's almost 10 years ago. That was the last time that I actually got to sit and play a video game and enjoy it. I didn't get to do it before because it's just constantly coming in, coming in. It comes in, you gotta throw out something. Comes in, make content. Comes in, which is that's great. There's a lot of content creators that are able to do that, and I respect them for being able to do that grind. But a lot of these content creators, they don't have wives, they don't have children, they don't have lives outside of content creating. What you see is what they have, which is why so many of these motherfuckers are chronically online, chronically on social media, chronically in people's comments. I'm not that. Waikiki Beach is like literally right down the street from me. You could probably catch me there 99% of the time, or out and about somewhere driving around Oahu. But going back to Claire's Skier Expedition 33, that was the first time I got to enjoy that game. And I feel like if I was under pressure of trying to get a review out within a certain time, or, you know, trying to keep up with what everyone's saying on the internet, I would not have been able to enjoy that game the way I have, which to me is a generational title. So, I'm just at this point now where I just don't want to cover games like that. I lost my passion for gaming, covering so many games. And I've worked with every major gaming company. You name them, I've covered games for them. Same thing with tech companies. Um, but the difference with tech is a constant revolving door. So you get it, you get your impressions and usage of it, and you send it back to the company. Most companies give you 30 to 90 days, right? So it's like I ain't missing nothing. because tech revolves. With video games, that's an experience that you only get once for the most part. And when you're rushing to review it, you don't get to enjoy it. And I didn't get to enjoy it for almost a decade. So I want to go back to enjoying games, which is why I'm just not. And also, as I said, I don't enjoy internet discourse around games. I remember when I used to be going on forums and having fun talking video games with people. It's not that anymore. It is not like that at all anymore. It's not fun. Half the folks talking about games don't even know anything about them. Their experience is probably the play at this point. It used to be the PlayStation 3 era, 360 era. Now it's PlayStation 4 era. Anything before that is too old, ancient. They don't know about it, or if they do, it's secondhand. Again, going back to the voyeuristicness of this field, a lot of people are just watching essay videos, watching playthroughs, watching someone stream, and then somehow watching someone else play a video game means that they have now played a video game, which is wild work to me. I don't understand that. So, yeah, a lot less video game coverage. I will still be doing tech coverage. I'm working on a lot of different tech reviews for different products that are coming out. Um, meaning that I have early access to. So expect that. Sorry, I'm getting all these notifications from Wario64. Follow him if you haven't already on social media. Get all your gaming and tech deals. But you know, it's going to be more tech, more podcasts, more interviews because I enjoy. It's crazy how so many people have popped up and they're interviewing voice actors and celebrities and all that. And before that, I was one of the first ones to do it. That wasn't part of some type of big corporate conglomerate. I was independent. Been doing the Casanova podcast for a decade. Been interviewing people, celebrities and such, big name people for a decade. I get laughed at now because other folks can trend in their video version of their podcast and do better than mine. But a lot of these same people were folks who didn't know how to do podcasting in general. Asked me for information and advice and then just straight up copy my style and format and questions and everything. Case in point, the Fatal Fury Fatal Fury Discord and how they're interviewing the voice actors there. Even though I'm the first person to interview all the voice, not all of them, but the majority of the main cast for City of the Wolves. And then folks from that Discord went. Now they're doing that. The official Discord, backed by SNK. Wild work. But, you know, I'm still going to be interviewing people. I'm still going to be making content on tech. I'm still going to be doing game reviews in a very, very, very limited capacity. But there are going to be some other stuff I want to do. I want to talk about fitness. I want to talk about because fitness is very important to me, especially as I'm getting older. I'm closing in on my midlife era. I'm almost 40. So I want to talk about health and fitness. I want to talk about specifically to men, young men, and men my age about purpose. I want to do content on that. I want to do social commentary on interpersonal and relational dynamics, not politics, but like what men should look for in a partner. If they're specifically like men looking for women, I want to talk about what characteristics you should look for, what type of women you should avoid at all costs. And that's those are my interests. That's what I kind of want to pivot the channel to. So if that's something you want to rock with, cool. If it's not, hey, I enjoy you while you were here. So that's the channel update. That's my thoughts. I don't know how long I've been rambling at this point, but I just wanted to get that out there. Oh, almost 40 minutes I've been going. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. And yeah, that's where we at. So with that being said, guys, I catch y'all in the next one. Be safe. Stay blessed. Have aloha. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out and a hui ho.